Body hooks. Body hooks are short range, powerful strikes that can take the wind out of your opponent. Always have one hand up covering your face when you throw a body hook. And make sure to pivot when you punch for devastating impact.
Body hook. Body hook. Body hook.
Elbows. Elbows are devastating strikes to use against an opponent because you are striking close and inside with the hard bone of your elbow. Keep your hand relaxed and tucked in to flare your elbow out, and protect your face with your free hand. You can elbow from different angles, diagonally, horizontally, and vertically.
Elbows. Elbow. Elbow. Elbow.
The hammer fist. The hammer fist is a vertical strike that can cause damage to your opponent's face, clavicle, shoulders, arms, or fists, with minimum damage to your hands. Begin in your fighting stance. Cock your striking arm up quickly and come down hard with the strike, then return to your stance.
Hammer fist. Hammer fist. Hammer fist. Hammer fist. Hammer fist.
High hooks. Start in a guarded and balanced stance. Pivot your foot, which turns your hip and shoulder, and make sure your punching fist is parallel to the floor. Punch through your opponent. Then return to your fighting stance to continue striking or defending.
High hook. High hook. High hook.
Uppercuts. Beginning in your defensive guard stance, get in close to your opponent. Bend slightly at the knee and spring up with your uppercut punch. Then return to your defensive guard stance after the strike.
Uppercut. 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 Uppercut.
Covering against the body hook. Covering is a very effective defense against body hooks. While keeping your hands up covering your face to avoid shots up there, absorb the blow on your arm as you use it to cover your ribs.
Body hook.
Defense against the bolo punch. Covering. Covering against the bolo punch requires a quick response. It's similar to covering against a body hook, but you must be sure to read the opponent's strike so that you can adjust to the diagonal angle that the bolo punch is coming from. The cover against the high hook. The cover against the high hook works well because it is a quick and effective response. With your hands already up in the defensive posture, reach back, cover your ears, and absorb the blow on the muscles of your arm. The cover against overhand strikes. This is basically a modified high hook cover. Your opponent is throwing the overhand at you to penetrate your basic high hook cover. So to protect yourself, recognize where the angle of the punch is coming from, and then cover yourself higher on your head. Aim to tighten your cover by touching your forearm and biceps as much as possible to make the hole so small that the overhand can't go through it. Cross parry versus jab cross. You can cross parry against the jab or the cross. Note that timing is everything here. Angle a bit to avoid the strike, parry quickly and return to your fighting stance. When you do this move, be prepared to move away or use your other hand to defend against an alternate strike. Cutting the elbow. This defensive move requires timing and force to pull off successfully. Enter in close and chop down on your opponent's incoming elbow, aiming for the area between his neck and his shoulder. Grab the back of your opponent's neck to control him or push him away. The drop hand defense versus uppercuts. The drop hand is similar to a parry. This is used mainly against uppercuts, but it can also be used against bolo punches and even front kicks aimed at your chest or chin. As always, it is key that you maintain your solid defensive stance. Cup your hands and slap the strike before it reaches you.
Uppercut.
The inside parry versus hammer fist defense. Here I show you how you can do an inside parry against a hook. In the book, I mentioned the sheath as a hammer fist defense. The inside parry looks similar to the sheath. They both begin the same way, but where the inside parry requires you to return back to your defensive fighting position, with the sheath, you are stiff-arming the hook and stepping forward as part of your defensive counter. This allows you to get inside your opponent or to grab him. Inside parry. The inside parry is a quick blocking maneuver that requires excellent timing and reaction speed. You are using your wrist and forearm to push the punch away in a semi-wax-on, wax-off Daniel-san way. This defensive move allows you to open your opponent's guard up and to enter and strike at will. Practice against jabs and crosses alone at first to build good form and timing, and then against jabs and crosses in various combinations. Outside parry versus back fist and outside parry versus cross. In this demonstration, I show how you can use your outside parry against the back fist and cross combination. The key thing, as always, is to keep your hands up throughout the whole defensive movement. Outside parry versus jab, and outside parry versus cross, then crash in. Here, I demonstrate how to crash in after using outside parries against an opponent's jab cross. The key here is to keep your hands up and to stick to your opponent's cross when you parry it. This allows you to check your opponent's hand as you crash in to avoid getting punched by your opponent. Once you're in close, attack him or put him in the clinch. Outside parry versus jab, and shoulder roll versus cross. First, perform an outside parry against the opponent's jab, and then to shoulder roll his cross, lean your weight on your rear foot and allow your hips and back to lean back. Raise your elbow and tuck your chin into your shoulder. This in effect allows you to parry with your elbow. Keep your eye on your opponent and either return with a punch or assume your defensive fighting position again.
Jab cross.
The outside parry versus a jab cross. The outside parry is a basic and almost instinctual block against a straight punch that everyone understands. The key is to not overcommit with your parry, meaning don't use too much force when you parry, or you risk parrying too much and leaving yourself exposed to a smart fighter's counterpunch. Instead, simply slap the incoming punch away from your face and quickly return to your defensive fighting stance.
Jab cross.
The rock back against uppercuts. This defensive maneuver is like a last-minute evasion when your opponent throws fast uppercuts at you. As the uppercuts come, drop your weight on your rear foot and lean back. Then return back to your defensive position and strike or keep moving. The shoulder stop against high hook. The shoulder stop is one of my favorite defenses against a high hook because you're stopping the strike before it generates the momentum it needs while also hurting your opponent's arm. You can do a shoulder stop against high hooks and even against a wide cross or overhands. Time the move correctly and ram your open palm against your opponent's shoulder or bicep as he strikes. Follow that move with hooks, straight punches, or elbows to finish him off. Shoulder stop versus overhand strikes defense. You can use the shoulder stop against the overhand strike just like you can against the hook. You are more likely to aim for the shoulder, however, because the overhand strike is coming at an angle downwards. Apply the same amount of forward pressure to the shoulder stop to push your opponent back and keep him off balance, and follow up with your strikes. Basic kick defense, the cut kick. The cut kick can be done against a low or a high roundhouse kick. To do this move effectively requires sharp reaction speed and training and timing. But once you get it down, it's a great counter against a kicker. Maintain balance as you kick your opponent's standing leg before his kick lands on you. Aim for the thigh, the knee, or the calf. Oblique kick plus defense versus oblique kick. Here we perform the oblique kick against each other and then also show the defense of moving away. Kicking defense and counter. Oblique kick versus oblique kick. Here we demonstrate a drill that allows you to practice throwing an oblique kick and defending against it with a foot stomp action. To make it more real, move around and don't be so monotonous with your timing. You can also practice throwing the oblique kick on focus mitts held low to the ground. Kick defense. Scoop the midline kick plus counter with low line kicks. This defense is for mid-level kicks aimed at your waist or higher. Note that you should not scoop kicks with your hands below your waist because it exposes you to getting kicked in the face. Against mid-level kicks, time your opponent's kick so that you can evade and scoop the heel of his foot as it comes. Push the foot down and make him lose his balance and set him up for your counter strike. Basic kick defenses, the shin block and the stump block. Here, you will see me begin with the shin block and end the demo with the stump block. These are both basic Muay Thai defenses against low roundhouse kicks. When doing the shin block, raise your leg around waist high at about a 45-degree angle to absorb the kick on your shin. After successfully blocking, return to your defensive fighting stance. When doing the stump block, lean your thigh towards the kick to meet the impact. Also, after successfully doing so, return to your defensive fighting stance. You will feel some pain if you utilize these blocks, so remain on the offensive and move. The kick defense versus the teep, outside and inside scoop. Here, we demonstrate a drill that allows us to practice throwing the front kick, also known as a teep in Muay Thai, and defending against it with the inside and outside scoop. When you do the front kick, aim to kick through your opponent. To scoop the kick, move slightly out of the way from the oncoming kick and pull it towards you from the heel of his kicking foot. This will leave your opponent temporarily off balance, where you can attack him. The back fist cross. The back fist cross combination is a favorite of mine because I can use the back fist to smother my opponent's face and set up the cross. When you do this move, keep your hands up and maintain good form when striking.
Back fist cross. Back fist cross. Back fist cross.
The hook, cross, body hook, kick combination. This is my favorite combination because it can be done lightning quick and cause pain all over your opponent's body. Aim the high hook and the cross to your opponent's face, the body hook to his ribs, sternum or stomach, and end with a hard kick to his thighs or knees. Start slow on the pads or the heavy bag to ensure that your form is solid and that your accuracy is sharp. Then go faster and harder for speed and impact. The jab, uppercut, elbow, lead knee. Here, I demonstrate an all-out assault against an opponent's upper body from different angles, high and low, that ends with a lead knee to the body, thigh, or groin. This is a good combination to do against an opponent after you've tired him down and want to go for the finish, or when you want to get inside for the clinch. The overhand and bolo punch. I will demonstrate the overhand and bolo punch in combination. These are diagonal strikes, so the overhand is thrown at an angle between the hook and the cross, coming down with awesome force. And the bolo punch is thrown at an angle between a hook and an uppercut, coming up with devastating impact. These punches are good ways to surprise an opponent with good defense. Keep one hand protecting your face as you hit, then return to your fighting stance.
Overhand. Overhand.
Parry, parry, body hook, hook, cross, hook, back fist, cross. Here I demonstrate a favorite combination of mine that includes the hooks, the cross, and the back fist. Aim for accuracy at first, and then aim for speed. Parry the jab, shoulder roll the cross as you kick, then cross hook cross. In this demonstration I show how after parrying the jab, you can simultaneously shoulder roll your opponent's cross and insert an inside low kick. Now, this low kick can be to the thigh or to your opponent's groin if you want to cause more pain. The finishing blows will be your cross hook cross combination. Don't stop hitting until your opponent is down. Defanging the snake, forward and backward. Defanging the snake is a simple Filipino Kali concept of first disarming your opponent to make it easier to defeat him. Here, we demonstrate it as a drill that you and your partner can do, going back and forth with safety gear to develop the necessary accuracy, reaction, and confidence when fighting against an armed opponent. Always keep your empty hand, also known as your live hand, up, covering your face and ready to strike or grab your opponent if the opportunity arises. Two unarmed counters versus knife attacks in the clinch. Whenever you are in a situation where you are being held and your opponent has a knife, here are two general concepts to help you disarm your opponent. Cause serious pain and try to redirect the knife hand. So you will notice in the first move I poke at his eyes after blocking the knife attack. And in the second move I headbutt his face as I block the knife, and then use his own knife to stab him. Afterwards, in both situations, I redirect my opponent's knife hand to give me leverage to disarm successfully. Clinching flow. Here, my partner and I go through a clinching drill where we place each other in the clinch and escape from it. We are also spontaneously controlling and striking each other within the clinch. This is a good exercise to develop a sense of the give and take that happens in a fight. As you clinch back and forth, give just enough resistance so that your partner has to work to escape and clinch you, but not so much that it turns into a fight. This is a training drill, not a sparring match. Also, give each other time in the clinch to pull off a couple of strikes so that you and your partner can learn to fight and defend yourselves in the clinch.